Sandra, tell me about one of the most successful account-based marketing campaigns you've either executed or you've seen happen out there, and what did they do? What made it work?
I can refer to one that started out as a disaster and turned into something
Even
that
better,
worked.
right? That's how we learn, right? You got to fail.
Yes.
I love it.
So there was a campaign that was run targeting CMOs, and it was with a data-driven solution. And so we sent out a campaign and got almost no response back. And what we learned through that experience was CMOs were not self-identifying by a solution that could apply to any one of them. They were self-identifying by industry. So we changed our whole approach and used industry-based research to generate content by industry, use industry vernacular, and then do an outreach to try to connect and draw people to us who are interested in that topic. So the example in that one is we did a study in the insurance industry, and within a couple weeks we had one of the CMOs from the largest insurers call us and invite us to go meet with him and sit around his table with 11 of his executives. Not because we reached out to him, but because we were speaking in his language, and he connected with it right away, and he knew that we could have a conversation around what he cared about most deeply. And the other reason this worked is we talked to his customers. We said, here's what CMOs in the insurance industry care about, but here's really what the consumers are saying, and there's a gap. Let's talk about that gap and how to close that gap.
Insights, relevancy, value. Right? You understood the insights at some point from the learning. You delivered something ultra relevant that had value when it landed on their desk.
Yep.
Fantastic. Anyone else have any good examples that they've seen from an account-based marketing perspective?
You know, I like to watch what Motorola Solutions does, because what I've seen them do is they bring together sales and marketing, but they also look at PR, they look at technology, they look at research and development to really say, okay, from a marketing perspective, are we talking too far ahead of what we can sell and deliver? And if we say we're going to sell this, you know, can we actually deliver it, and what's the time frame? So I think it's very smart. It's not just sales and marketing that has to align. It's everything within the organization that serves the customer.
Jill?
Yeah. I can just give some generic examples of, I'm a big fan of tools like Demandbase and Bizzo, and HubSpot, in fact. I was actually over the weekend listening to their keynote from their inbound conference last year, and they created this content optimization tool that essentially, you know, the CEO, Brian Halligan, was talking about how they had this campaign and the call to action was to drive them to the website when it was, let's just call it a suspect. And when that suspect went to the website, they got this experience of the website, version A of the experience. And then as that buyer progressed and became part of the sales funnel, and they marketed to that buyer again and drove him back to the corporate website, experience A. And then as that buyer bought and became a customer and drove them back to the corporate website, the buyer experienced experience A. Like that website, that corporate website never changed, even though the buyer was at a different stage in the buying process and in fact had become a customer. And so now we have to start thinking about not just landing pages and pieces of content being more relevant and timely and personalized to the buyer, but that corporate website, the whole entire experience. And so the phenomenal thing is that there are tools and technologies that these companies are creating to create that dynamic experience that can vary based on industry, based on company, based on individual, the buyer persona, based on whatever, where they are in the buying cycle. So the technology is catching up to the ideas that were started back in, I think ITSA is one of the first analyst companies. ITSMA?
IT sales and marketing?
Yes, ITSMA. Yeah. I put marketing before sales. ITSMA, and then also Serious Decisions has some great research. But the tools are catching up to the concepts, is what's happening.
I have one other that I thought of, I
Sure.
think is a great example. It's Young Presidents Organization. And what they do is pretty extraordinary. They connect with CEOs. And what they do to connect with the CEOs is they understand how can I help them in their business, in their industry, with nonprofits they're passionate about, and how can I have events for their spouses and families as they'd be interested. So they look at the individual as a total human being, and they connect on as many levels with that human being as they can. The reason I wanted to mention this example is I see B2B marketing going through a transformation.
Yep.
We don't sell to a business, we sell to an individual, and when they write us a check, they're signing the check as a representative of the company versus a personal check. But it's still a human being, and
Sure.
I see B2B marketers really stepping up to embrace this. It's not easy, but understanding that human being holistically, not just from a business perspective, to me is going to be the best account-based approach you can adopt.
I love it. And if I could pull that thread just one layer deeper, is while we're selling to people, we're also selling to multiple people, especially in the business buying journey, if you will. And the question becomes, how do you become relevant to every influencer in that process from an account-based marketing perspective in that buying journey at scale? That's not easy, right?